Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Movie Digest. Today we're diving into the movie They Cloned Tyrone, directed by Jewel Taylor and starring John Boyega, Tanya Paris, and Jamie Foxx. At its core, They Cloned Tyrone as a sci-fi mystery that blends comedy, thriller, and social camaraderie. It's the kind of film that entertains with wild twist and sharp humor, but underneath it's tackling deeper themes about identity, control, and systematic oppression. The story kicks off with Fontaine, a neighborhood drug dealer, is shot and killed only to wake up the next day as if nothing ever happened. Confused, he teams up with Yo-Yo, a quick-witted and ambitious sex worker, and Slick Charles, a flashy pimp who provides both chaos and comic relief. Together, they stumble onto a shocking conspiracy involving cloning, mind controlling, and experiments designed to keep their community subdued. What makes this film stand out is the way it uses sci-fi and satire as a mirror. It pushes us to think about the cycles communities get trapped in, how people's lives are shaped by forces beyond their control, and what is really going on. That's what we were going to unpack today on Movie Digest.
Okay, great. Thank you, Bella.
Thank you.
So according to our course readings, Black Performance Theory by Thomas DeFrance and Anita Gonzalez. So Gonzalez tries to emphasize that if Black identity is constructed and articulated by those outside of the race, then performances of Blackness are created in response to these imagined identities, page 6. So this is kind of showing how the white people that are controlling the Black community of the Glen are basically being encouraged to put on a false performance of Black stereotypes because the stereotypes are being pushed upon them by people outside of the race. In trying to define performance, DeFrance says, importantly, performers need to recognize their own performance in order for it to be valuable. It needs to be conscious action conceived or created as performance. I think this is really important to the plot because there's a critical moment where the characters realize that they're being cloned and used as a tool to put on a performance of pimp or of sex worker or hustler and drug dealer. And at that moment when they realize it, they choose to control their own narrative and not let themselves be controlled by essentially the white people underground. And these roles that they're playing are keeping their neighborhood poor and underdeveloped and dangerous. So that's a really important moment for those characters when they realize and recognize their own performance and its value. Lastly, Gonzalez, the other author, trying to identify what performance means in this sense, she says, performers present humans in relationship to the exceptional circumstances that surround them, also page 6. And in regards to the actors, they basically represent humans in exceptional circumstances, as in literally being cloned in their community and what that means to them. And I think that these performers took it upon themselves to dive into their relationship with Blackness and with what it means to be American, and they really applied that to their performance here in the movie, and it shows because it comes off as authentic yet satirical, but that authenticity under the satirical, themes of the movie allow it to be its own thing and, convey its message strongly.
Yes. Thank you for that, Sophia. Very insightful. Yes. To add to that, I want to add another way that Blacks have kind of been represented in the past called minstrelsy. This started in 1830s, and it's basically where white people would mock Black people by wearing like blackface, having darker hair. They would act as a buffoon, and they would just stereotypically and racially represent these people in the wrong way. It was founded by Thomas D. Rice, who is the father of minstrelsy, and he created the Jim Crow character, who was basically an enslaved man, and there was like a song that mocked him, and a lot of people represented that persona. It was a very popular form of American entertainment that peaked during the mid-19th century. It was even to the point where it wasn't just white people pretending or putting on that performance, but even Black people would put on, they'd make themselves look blacker just to go with the times and
and they would make themselves do an exaggerated form of Blackness to appease a white audience, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of aiding that point. I mean, we see that with Fontaine at the end of the film, right?
Yeah.
Evil Fontaine, as I might say, the older version of him, right? He's playing into that like assimilation. He says at the end of the film, he says to the clone version of Fontaine, he says, assimilation is better than annihilation, right?
Yeah.
So in a way, he is trying to protect himself and like his race by assimilating to the white race.
Yeah, exactly. And there's like another thing where at the very end of the movie, he's showing like a black person turning like to white over tests and generations. So it's kind of like a flip on minstrelsy where they were trying to make people blacker, but now they're trying to make people whiter, just get rid of just the black identity entirely.
Yeah. So going into film analysis, right? Like I said, assimilation is better than annihilation. That's a quote from Fontaine from the film, right? And this film is mainly focused on the erasure of the black community over in Glen, but it's not just limited to that area. We see at the end of the film, Tyrone over in LA, right? They see him on screen and he realizes, whoa, there's another one of me.
Yeah, like we're being cloned.
Yeah. And by using the cloning metaphor, the film explores how white society maintains power by manipulating and whitewashing black communities, black culture. The film kind of critiques the government's use of tactics like mass incarceration and experimentation on people of color.
Testing people and using these weird products, just making them like animals.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's animals that they can control, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you see that with Nixon when all of the people are surrounding the car that Fontaine and Jamie Foxx's character, I forgot the name, but the
Slick.
pimp, Slick Charles.
Yeah.
Slick Charles, yeah. You see that when Nixon comes out, that Nixon's the white guy.
Crazy.
He has his clone of Fontaine. What's that clone?
Chester.
Chester.
Yeah.
He has Chester
boy.
and all of those people surrounding the car, and just by using a couple key words, he's able to control them, kind of giving into that hive mind assimilation kind of thing. And that, I mean, what they're doing to get them docile like that is feeding them these drugs hidden in the foods and the music that they like.
And hidden in like racial stereotypes with like the fried chicken and grape juice and perm moisturizer cleanser. Yeah.
So the whole film kind of focuses on these absurd stereotypes and they kind of play into that whole thing.
Yeah, thank you for that, G. The use of stereotypes is also known as black satire, which its purpose is to critique systematic racism and struggles that the black community goes through. In the case of this film, They Clone Tyrone, they use irony and comedy to show this. In the article, Black Satire is having its Hollywood moment, but something is missing by Maya Phillips. She writes that They Clone Tyrone does a great job of using black satire when compared to other films that are also trying to do the same. The biggest example of this is how the three main characters all follow a black stereotype. Fontaine is a neighborhood drug dealer, like we mentioned. Yo-Yo is a prostitute that is often called a hoe, and Slick is her pimp. A great example of the irony is seen when they first uncover the government operation. They first think that the powder is cocaine, but they later realize that the powder is being placed inside of their food and products to control them. It is ironic because during the 1980s and 90s, the black community went through a lot when it came to cocaine addiction. This led to the government creating laws that targeted black offenders, causing stereotypes around them, making people think that they were all drug addicts.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, the powder they used was in stereotypes such as like fried chicken and the grape juice and the like perm moisturizer cleanser thing, and it was all just mind control potion basically.
You know, low-key, it reminds me of Project MK Ultra, where like they fed people like LSD to see the effects on the mind.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and if they were more docile, like easier to control kind of thing.
And that's a wrap on today's episode of Movie Digest. We've been breaking down the movie They Clone Tyrone. Directed by Jewel Taylor and brought to life by the incredible performance of John Boyega, Taylor Paris, and Jamie Foxx. What's so powerful about this film is the way it mixes sharp humor, unsettling sci-fi, and biting satire into a story that feels both entertaining and deeply relevant.